and welcome to another video. So first, pardon the weird lighting and the noise. I don't know if you can hear the rain in the background, but it has been raining pretty fiercely all day, and so that might come up. And then the lighting is also weird because of the rain. I don't have a lot of good natural light coming in from my windows, so I just have the floor lamps, and I don't know, it's just the best I could do. So it's already November. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. And in November, I have a TBR. So the majority of this TBR is due to the fact that I am participating in the Believathon, or Believe in the Impossible Readathon, hosted by Gavin on a channel of his name, Gavin Hetherington, which I will try to link below. And he is hosting a readathon that focuses on getting people to read children's literature and like middle grade fiction, which, to be honest, when I first heard about it and when I was looking for a readathon that I wanted to do in November, I was a little skeptical because I didn't think that I liked children's fiction or middle grade fiction. I didn't think I'd even read any recently. And it turns out that I actually have read one that I know of and that I really enjoyed. So for the Book Junkie Trials in July, I read a book called The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, I believe. And it was such a good book, and I really loved it. It was super cute and adorable and really whimsical, and that's considered middle grade fiction and children's literature. So I was like, all right, I guess that means that I have to hop on this train and do this readathon in November, which will be a challenge because I'm also doing NaNoWriMo, so I'll talk more about that all at the very end of the video. But for now, I'm going to take you through the prompts that I have and the books that I've chosen for them. Most of these books were taken from his compendium. So Gavin's his readathon has a accompanying compendium that he put together that has like all the background for the readathon and then all the prompts, and with each prompt suggestions for books, which is really nice because I didn't know anything about this genre and used this to find some books that I thought would be really interesting. So let's get to it. I also don't own any of these books yet. I don't have them anywhere. I don't live near a very good library, and I had to buy them. And I got them from Book Depository, all of them, and I'm going to be ordering in 2 chunks. So I've ordered half of my books for this readathon, and then sometime late next week probably I'll order the second half of books for this readathon. And I'm just super excited because it's also my first Book Depository order, and it seems like a pretty nice website. The shipping was free, so we'll see what kind of books I get and if it's like nice. But yeah, so we're going to start, and that's also why there's like glare on my glasses, because I have my laptop with my notes right there. Look, you see that? And then it's getting reflected all kinds of ways, and then the floor lamps that I have are just whoosh. But I need my glasses to see, so nothing to do about that. Okay, so the first prompt is read a book featuring magic, and for this I have picked A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. So this is a book about 3 sisters with a curse and 3 objects that could break the curse, or possibly make everything worse. It is part of a series, so the second book is set to be released in 2020, and it will be called A Sprinkle of Sorcery. And the cover of this is really nice. So part of what made me pick the books that I did was the covers. I'm really, really bad at judging books by their covers, and I know that the cover art is like done by someone else entirely and like doesn't necessarily reflect the quality of the book. But I like reading books that are nice to look at, so I'm really bad at that. So part of this list is because the covers were really, really nice. And something that I noticed when I was looking at all of the suggestions is that middle grade fiction, the covers, they're so nice. They're so pretty. Like The Girl Who Drank the Moon, that cover is super, super pretty. So that's just a plus, I guess. Because adult fiction, I just hate the covers so often. So like what you see right here is like, it's a bookshelf that I'm putting together, and I haven't finished it. Like half of it is empty, but I have here so far like my book of the month books, and then my fairy loot books right here. And at the top, I have this collection of like mass market paperbacks. Actually, this is my boyfriend's collection. And you have, these are actually pretty nice covers, the Stormlight Archives. I kind of like these. But then you get into things like these books by Robert Jordan from the Wheel of Time series. And just, I don't like the covers. And so, yeah, I'm really impressed by the cover art that I have seen as I put together this TBR. Someday I'll read all these. I hope to vlog when I do that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. The future. Okay, so that was the first prompt. There are 10 prompts and then a group book and then a couple of books that I'm adding to my November TBR just to be ambitious. So the next prompt is to read a book featuring a myth or a legend, and I have chosen A Darkness of Dragons by S.A. Patrick. I do not know what the myth or legend of this book is, what it plays off of. It was on his suggested list of books, and I'm interested in this because 1, dragons, and 2, I learned that S.A. Patrick actually has in the past written adult horror and thrillers, and this is his first like children's book, and so I'm interested to see what it's like. I haven't read any of his other books. Wow, the lighting is better when I don't have my laptop open. Okay, good to know, but for now I need it. So yeah, I haven't read any of his books at all, but I'm interested in what a first children's book will be like. So it's called The Darkness of Dragons, and it's part of like a series. It's called like A Song of Magic or Magic Songs or something like that. And this particular book is about a boy who gets thrown in jail after playing a forbidden spell song where he meets a girl with a rat-shaped curse. I don't know what that means. And they eventually befriend a Draco Griff named Beaver and go on an adventure. So it's pretty vague, but I'm interested. The next one is read a book that deals with real life issues, and for this one I have picked The Boy at the Back of the Class by Ojali Q. Ralph. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but this is about a group of kids who get a new student in their class, and this new student sits at the back of the class, and he is a refugee from a war, and it's kind of about how the students in the class deal with learning about this information and try to, I think, help him feel welcomed. But I don't know. I read a little blurb, and it was not the most detailed, so I'm just guessing a little there. The next is to read a book set in the past, and for this I have picked Secrets of a Sun King by Emma Carroll. And this one is about an Egyptian tomb that is found, and it's all over the news, and 13-year-old Lillian Kay is following the story. However, one morning a mysterious Egyptologist disappears, and around the same time Lil's grandfather gets sick, and as all that's happening, a mysterious package arrives for him from the missing Egyptologist, and Lil starts to believe that there might be something to the rumors that there might be a pharaoh's curse. And then I don't know what happens. I would guess that she goes off to break the curse to save her grandfather, but I don't know. The next prompt is to read a book with a strong sense of friendship, and I have picked The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. Again, not a book I know a ton about, but apparently a girl named Stella and 3 other junior explorers get separated from their expedition and must cross the frozen wilderness on their own. Sounds exciting. Oops, skipped. Okay, the next one is to read an atmospheric or creepy book, and for that I have picked A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan, and I'm excited about this book. Again, another one with super nice cover art, and in it a girl named Violet moves to a town called Perfect where everyone wears glasses to keep from going blind and is always neat, tidy, and perfectly behaved. But she also hears noises in the night. Her mom starts acting strange, and her father disappears. And then she meets a boy, I think, named Boy, and learns that the mysterious Watchers are guarding a creepy secret. I don't know who the Watchers are. I don't know who the secret is, but I'm excited for it. The next prompt is to read a seasonal book, and I have picked North Child by Edith Patel, I think. And it's about a girl named Rose who is a North Child, a child born facing north and is destined to travel far from home on a dangerous journey. She makes a pact with a white bear and they travel to a castle that holds a dark enchantment. The next prompt is to read a book with an animal character, and I'll admit that this is the prompt I'm most skeptical about. I've never read anything with like animal characters, but I'm not a fan of those kinds of movies like Bambi, The Fox and the Hound. I don't know. I also haven't seen any of those in a really, really long time, but I don't remember being a fan. So I'm skeptical, but I'm going to try it. So the book I've picked is called I, Cosmo by Carly Sorosiak. And it's about a golden retriever who's narrating as he tries to keep his family together when everything starts to fall apart. The next prompt is to read a classic children's story, and I had trouble with this because all of the classics that were like suggested, I hate. Alice in Wonderland, I don't like it. The Wizard of Oz, I have not read, but I don't like the movie. I can't remember other suggestions, but I know I don't like those. So then I was like, okay, I have to Google a children's classic, and I found The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I know very little about The Hobbit. I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies, and I love those, but I haven't read any of the books. So yeah, and I also haven't watched the Hobbit movies. So I'm just excited to kind of get into the world a bit with the books because I've been a little intimidated to read the original trilogy, like the Lord of the Rings. And I think that reading The Hobbit will be kind of a good like gateway into that world. Then the last prompt is to reread your childhood favorite. So I actually didn't read a lot as a kid, like much at all. I read a lot in kindergarten and first grade when I was learning to read because it was really important to like my parents that I did well in school. So like they helped me read a lot. But then I got really good at reading and I got to a point where I was a couple grade levels ahead in my reading. And so I started to read less. Like I didn't practice it as much because I was keeping up, you know? Like I started hardcore to like stay on track and then got ahead and then kind of stopped practicing as much. And so really the only book I remember reading before I started reading in middle school a lot. So in 6th grade, I was assigned to read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and that was the book that like started me reading again and kept me reading all the way until now. Like since then, I've been reading, except for periods of time like college where I got really, really busy and didn't read as much. But every time I have free time, I am reading now, and that's been since the 6th grade. And then before that, there was a chunk of time from like 2nd through 5th where I didn't do much reading at all. However, in that time, I did read one really good book. And I read it in the 4th grade, I think. And it was also really good. I read it in part because it was the only book that I bought at book fair, and I never bought books from the book fair because I thought they were kind of expensive and I didn't read very often, so I never bought anything from the book fair. But this time I really wanted to get a book from the book fair, and I picked this book, and because I paid for it, I was going to read it even in the 4th grade. And I keep looking to the side because this is an old house and it's raining outside and everything's creaking and making weird sounds. And I'm by myself. Okay, so yeah, I picked this book up and I loved it. I mean, it's a tear-jerker. And I haven't read it in a really long time, so I think this is a good time. It's called Kira Kira by Cynthia Kadohata. And Kira Kira means glittering or shining. And in this book, a girl and her sister move with their family from a Japanese community in Iowa to a small town in Georgia. And Katie and her, the two sisters are named Katie and Lynn. Lynn is the older sister. And Lynn is the one who explains to Katie why people stop and stare at them and start treating their family differently. But she also teaches Katie to look beyond tomorrow with her special way of viewing the world. But when Lynn falls ill and the whole family starts to fall apart, it's up to Katie to remind everyone that there is always something glittering in the world. It's so good. It's a good one. So I'm excited to reread that. And then the group book is Frostheart by Jamie Littler. And it's about a boy named Ash who discovers that he has magical powers when he saves a ship, I think. And these powers cause him to be cast off from his village, and he joins the ship's crew, and the ship is called Frostheart. Then I have 2 other books that I want to add to my TBR. I want to finish reading a book I started a couple days ago, and I'm filming this on October 27th. So in theory, I might be able to finish it before the end of October, but I'm not confident in that. So I want to add it to my November TBR anyway, just in case. And it's called Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, and I have it. Oh, I had it. It goes right here. But I was reading it right before I filmed this video on my couch, and it's over there, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But this is about a book where a revolution gives everyone, even the lowborn, the chance to test into the governing class of dragon riders. 2 kids or teenagers now, I guess, are Annie and Lee, and they're kind of the main protagonists whose points of views we get in the book. They are now rising stars in the new regime, but everything changes when survivors of the old regime surface, and they are intent on reclaiming the city. That's all I know about it. I'm about 20 or 30 pages in, and it's okay. It's supposed to be good. It's well reviewed. I've heard good things about it. People love it, but I've read 30 pages of it, and the writing style kind of irritates me. Like 8 pages in, I found 2 sentences that were so over-commaed that I was just like, who wrote these sentences? Because they weren't well-written sentences, and so I'm kind of skeptical. I'm going to power through, finish reading it. Let's see. And then the second book is whatever book comes in the Fairy Loot box this month. So the October box. Mine hasn't shipped yet, which makes me really sad. I don't know why it hasn't shipped yet. But I'm also not surprised that it's shipping late, because I had a lot of payment processing problems at the beginning of the month when my renewal was up. Because I had a credit card fraud issue, had to change all my cards, and then when I put in my new card, the bank kept blocking Fairy Loot as like an international purchase, and I didn't realize that for a couple of days. And then I just put it on a different card, and I eventually got it through, but it was like a week later that everything got sorted, so I'm not surprised, but I am sad because like almost all boxes I think have been shipped at this point, and I haven't heard anything from Fairy Loot, so I hope everything works out. However, I haven't gotten my box yet, right? And I haven't seen any spoilers, but actually I think I can close this. No, I can't. I need to read that. Okay, but I think I have a guess for what the book is, and that's just because I've heard this description everywhere, and I doubt that there are a ton of books coming out in October that have that description. So my guess officially on this video is that the Fairy Loot book for October is going to be The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh, and that's a book that's set in 1872 in New Orleans, and it's about vampires. And that's about all I know about it. I don't know much at all. Nevertheless, I'm excited for it. Just because it's another book that I've heard good things about, and Fairy Loot has like a good track record for picking good books. I was not the biggest fan of Serpent and Dove, but I did find it entertaining at parts. And I'm excited to get it. It was one of the options for Book of the Month this month as well, but because I'm so sure it's going to be the Fairy Loot book, I did not get it in my Book of the Month. We'll see if I regret that decision or not. Yeah, so we're gonna see what it is. I don't know. We'll see what it is. I will have an unboxing when I do get my Fairy Loot box. And yeah, so I'm excited. That's my TBR for the month of November. I will be having an October wrap up, and we will see how far I get through this hefty TBR of 13 or 14 books, I think. And ordinarily in a regular month, that would not be possible. I just can't read that many books in a month. I don't have the time for it. However, I'm working really hard this month to make more time for both reading and writing. So I'm going to start getting up earlier. And writing is because I'm doing NaNoWriMo as well this month. So my goal for this month is to wake up at like 6 a.m., write for an hour before I have to go to work, get back from work, read for an hour, write for another hour, and then relax in the evening, hang out with my boyfriend, start it all over the next day. And then there's almost a week and a couple of days at the end where I'm on Thanksgiving break. So I don't work at all. And I think I can really get through like a lot of books and a lot of writing during that break. So if I get off track, I'm catching up that week and I think I can do it. That being said, you don't have to read all 11 books for this readathon to win the readathon or to like have met all the criteria. The goal of the readathon is for you to read 4 books, I think. 4 or 5, a book a week, I think. So I don't know if there are 4 or 5 weeks in November, but that is the task. And throughout the month of November, there are also lots of theme days and things like that. And you can find more about the readathon and those themes and the official rules and things on Gavin's channel, which I will have linked below. So if you have any questions, like that's the place to be. Whew. All right. So that concludes this video. I hope you've liked what you've seen. And if you're joining any readathons in November, or if you've been reading anything recently that you're really excited about, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. Until next time, bye.